Greetings and salutations, men, women, children of all ages. Welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is No One Ask Us. He's Craig Choate. I am Logan Lee.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. We try to surprise each other with how we're going to start in these shows. So that caught Craig off guard. Yes, welcome in to No One Asked Us. As I said, he is Craig. I am Logan. This is episode 67. We're in the middle of season 2 on this show. We're a few weeks into it. Excited to be here. We got football season is officially here. Week 0 is upon us. The Illini season kicks off here in just a few short days. We're excited to talk about that. Plenty to go over in the coming minutes, hour-ish on this show. We'll see how long this goes. Before we get started, don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms at No One Asked Us Pod. He's at Craig W. Choate. I'm at the Logan Lee. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Shoot us an email if you want at nooneaskedus2021@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to this. We would appreciate that as well. As Craig likes to say, if we get to 1,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube, I'll get them grow a mullet. Don't know if we'll ever get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, but if we do, 10 years from now, I will grow out a mullet. Craig, what's up, man? How are you? How are you on this Monday evening?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Ready to get going. Nothing new. Just hanging in there, doing the same grind.
Do you think we should sell merch?
You got merch. You're drinking out of merch.
I have one item that was gifted to me. That is, I guess you could call No One Asked Us merch. But you think people would buy T-shirts that say No One Asked Us? Do you think people would buy $35 T-shirts with a No One Asked Us graphic that Craig created in about 30 minutes on a Tuesday night in 2020? You think people would pay $30 for that?
I might have to mark it down a little bit, but
well,
I don't know if there's anyone out there willing to provide.
Let us know if you're
listening.
listening to this, if you're watching this, if you'd be interested. Let us know. Might be a way that Craig and I can make a few extra dollars.
We got some room on the graphics for some sponsorships.
Oh, are we officially open for business for sponsorships?
We've been open for business for a year and a half, bro.
Do you know anybody that would want to throw a sponsorship on this show?
I'm not a sales guy. I don't know.
All right, let's get into the heart of this thing. First off, what caught your eye this week?
As so often happens, I thought of something midweek and I forgot to write it down, and it got to the time to record the show and I can't remember what it was. So there's that. But the one I do have, former Illini Michael Massey got called up a couple weeks ago for the Kansas City Royals. He graduated, I think, in 2018 or 19 from Illinois. Second baseman, one of the best Illinois baseball players I saw in my time there. He got called up a couple of weeks ago, but he hit his first home run this week at Kansas City. He's getting everyday playing time. They traded Whit Merrifield, so it opened up a spot for him, I think, and he's taken advantage. Before their game today, I didn't realize they were playing an afternoon game. Before their game, he was hitting 281 with 1 home run and 7 RBIs. I believe he has an RBI today, so his numbers went up a little bit today against the White Sox, but just cool for him. He's battled some injuries. I think he missed most of last year, plus 2020 because of COVID and minor leagues didn't have a season. But always thought he had some potential, and it's good to see him get the call. I don't think many people thought he was going to get the call this soon in his career, but he's making the most of it. So good to see Illini succeeding in the bigs, and he was one of my favorites to cover. He was always gracious and thankful for the time, and really good to talk to when he was at Illinois. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I saw that. That's exciting. I didn't get a chance to watch him. He was after I had kind of left that area, but yeah, that's really cool to see. Players having some success at that level too.
He was actually one of my first stories once we got sent home for COVID, like reporting, where we had to set Zooms up and record the FaceTimes or whatever we were doing. He was one of the first ones that I interviewed. I remember that. Him and Nick Hardy were one of the first two because their sports shut down. So
yeah, Illinois baseball hasn't had a ton of representation at the major league level. So anytime they get any glimpse of that, it's pretty cool. I didn't have a lot of great things to mention for this. But I do have one thing I would like to talk about with you. You're like the right person to have this conversation with. This is something we
Great.
probably could have saved for later in the show, but I just want to have this conversation now.
Okay.
Where in the world has Tom Brady been for the course of the last week? And are you now upset that you may or may not have your favorite show spoiled for you?
Yeah, it kind of sucks that the rumors got out there because that's one thing the show's good at. They keep their things under wraps, man. You have no idea who it's gonna be. Yeah, the Tom Brady Masked Singer rumors have run rampant. I kind of believe him. You know, he retired, he signed on and agreed to do his whole Fox broadcasting thing. And then he unretired, so he probably already signed a contract to do the show. And yeah, I mean, I kind of do believe him. We'll see. He'll be obvious to pick out once you probably hear him and see the clues. But yeah, we'll see here in about I think the end of September the season's debuts. So we'll see. But yeah, wouldn't that be something? Like Tom Brady leaves training camp to go film a reality singing TV show.
I would love nothing more. Yeah, this is the rumor that was kind of circulating around Reddit last week, and it kind of makes some sense when you think about it. And then you throw in the fact that, I mean, he's now signed on to do this. You know, he signed on to work with Fox as soon as he's done retiring, so they already have the in there. Joe Buck had just done The Masked Singer not long ago.
I picked him out.
So
I got him right.
I think it's certainly possible. I did see somebody tweeted out last night or sometime yesterday that it wasn't true. It wasn't happening.
I saw that too.
And my response to that, I don't think I actually tweeted it, but my response was, well, he signed an NDA. So if it's not like he's going to tell you if he did. So if Tom Brady's your source, you might want to figure that out. There's another
He was back at practice today.
There's another report that he was just on vacation or something. So who knows? I just think it's kind of fun to think about Tom Brady being on The Masked Singer, skipping out a couple weeks of training camp to go record some episodes.
Must be nice.
Whatever. Good for him. Question of the week, or what do you think? I gotta get into that flow of, doing something different than question of the week. Are we gonna have
do we need segment music? I was gonna say, do we need graphics and segment music just for
we'll
this?
Have to talk to our producer about that. Question of the week.
If you know of a producer, we will take one. Logan just spoke it into existence.
We can't pay you. But if you know of one, Austin Berkland, let us know.
Calling him out.
I have no idea if Austin Berkland listens to the show. Shout him out though. All right. What do you think? Last week our question was fairly timely, considering it was right between the Field of Dreams game and the Little League Classic. We asked, what's the best unique regular season sporting event across the major sports? And we gave the options being the Field of Dreams game, the Little League Classic, the Winter Classic, the NHL Winter Classic, and the NFL International Series. I was kind of surprised by these results a little bit. Were you? Before I say what the results were.
Kind of. I figured it would be one of two, but I thought it would be the other one.
Yeah, so I was trying to pull up the results. I had them listed here, but me and computers. The Winter Classic won 48%. Field of Dreams had 34% of the votes. Little League Classic had 16%, and then not really surprised, the International Series for the NFL only at 2%. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to those who voted for that. I was kind of surprised too. I figured it'd probably be Field of Dreams, but the Winter Classic doesn't really shock me. I think there's a lot of hockey fans that really enjoy that event. So thank you to those who voted for that. This week's question.
Something about playing an indoor sport outdoors.
It's always going to be
it's
different.
A natural outdoor sport too. Hockey is. So it's kind of cool. It was my second. Field of Dreams was my first.
Yeah. Question this week. I'm going to give you a little backstory as to why I'm asking this question. Craig and I kind of talked about this off the air before we started, and I'm going to change it up a little bit on him. So yesterday, I went and saw a little movie called E.T. Have you heard of E.T.?
I'm familiar.
Familiar with the extraterrestrial. Came out 40 years ago, but they're putting him back in theaters now, 40 years later, whatever.
Wow.
But there's a particular candy that is featured prominently in that movie, the candy being Reese's Pieces. So the question I'm going to ask right now is pick one, Reese's Pieces or M&M's. I'm not throwing anything else in there. We're doing strictly the chocolate / peanut butter variety, peanut butter or M&Ms or Reese's Pieces, not Reese's Pieces. For those that want to have that argument, M&Ms or Reese's Pieces. That's going to be the question that we're going to ask you this week. So we'll put that up on our Twitter. Feel free to vote this week, and we will talk about the results next week. Do you want to cast your vote now, or do you want to cast your vote at the end of the week?
It's a landslide. Reese's Pieces.
Really?
Landslide.
Would you feel differently if it was any of the specific M&M varieties? If I said
peanut M&Ms might give them a run.
So peanut M&Ms and then Reese's Pieces, maybe.
Yeah, peanut butter M&Ms are nothing compared to Reese's Pieces.
I'm with you there.
I know they're both peanut butter and chocolate, but Reese's Pieces are my movie go-to staple, actually.
Really? As they should be.
I like the cookie dough balls too.
Okay. I've become partial to the caramel M&Ms with popcorn. I think that's a pretty good combination. But not really on their own. I'm a Reese's Pieces guy, but because I saw that movie yesterday, I had to go home or get some on the way home and kind of snack on those. # no free ads. All right.
We put two candies in our poll. No free ads.
Mars, Hershey's, come find me. I'll even accept free tickets to.
Actually, speaking of Mars, not the planet.
Oh.
Chrissy grew up
on
really
Mars?
close to the Mars plant in Chicago. And she says they would go trick-or-treating there every year because they gave the king size bars instead of the minis.
Of course.
At the Mars plant. And you can smell the chocolate and making the chocolate from her house. That's awesome. Also tempting.
Cool. I'm sure. All right. We got a lot to talk about this week, so let's go ahead and get this thing started. Illini football. The season is here. We are officially in week 0. The season kicks off. Yeah, Craig is wearing his Illini shirt. I am not. He is #family. I'm #Walt Disney World.
As you would.
# no free ads. Season kicks off Saturday. It is Monday as we record this show, so we are just a few days away from Wyoming and the Fighting Illini in Champaign on Saturday. So far on this show, we've kind of done a national preview. We've done a Big Ten preview, but we've yet to really dive into the the Illini football team specifically. So that's what we're going to do now. We kind of have a little bit of an idea of what a depth chart's going to look like. Or at least what pieces are going to be involved. I don't think Bielema has actually stated who his starting quarterback's going to be. I think there's probably a lot of speculation as it's one over the other. But we don't really know that for sure. But we know there's 2 guys in play. So we're going to just go over some of this stuff. I don't know that we need to take a ton of time to do it.
No.
Because we don't want this show to be 7 hours long. But I do think we want to talk about a few people, a few positions here and there that might be key for this team this season. So how do you want to do this? You just want to go position by position? Are there certain players you want to highlight? What do you think?
Just the position groups that have some question marks. There are some, like you said, some places that we know what it's going to be. Running back, we know it's Chase Brown, Josh McCray, and then one other person that's going to get the bulk. Defensive line, I think we know pretty well with Johnny Newton and Keith Randolph.
Right.
Linebacker, there are some questions, but you do have Seth Coleman. There are some positions that we know what we're getting, but there are, I think, 3 big ones on offense and then just a couple depth pieces on defense that we might not understand. So just a couple of the positions here.
I agree. Well, let's just go ahead and start with quarterback. That's the position that I think is probably the most still up in the air. I think the general consensus around the fan base and around those that are close to the situation, I believe it's Tommy DeVito, the transfer from Syracuse, who will be the starter on Saturday. But it's certainly not a clear-cut thing. I think Art Sitkowski is still there in the mix. Tommy DeVito, as I said, a Syracuse transfer, hasn't really played a lot there the last couple seasons. His sophomore year was his big year. Threw for 3,800 yards, several touchdowns for Syracuse that year. It just kind of played sparingly the past couple seasons, and now he's trading one orange jersey in for another. I think he's the likely candidate to be the starter on Saturday. I think he's an upgrade. I think he's an upgrade over Sitkowski. I don't know how much of an upgrade. We'll see. I mean, we tried the Brandon Peters experiment, and you know where that got us. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's DeVito. I think it's his job to lose, but I don't think it's necessarily cut and dry. You agree?
I would put it about 85 to 90% DeVito, 10 to 15% chance it's Art Sitkowski. I think it's that much of a runaway. I just think DeVito is. We saw Sitkowski last year. He's similar to Brandon Peters. You know, he's got some talent. He's got an arm. He's just not. Doesn't take many chances and doesn't make reads, stuff like that. DeVito, everyone talks about. He's got the swagger. He's got some moxie to him. He's got some balls to him to take some shots.
Yeah,
which Illinois hasn't had in a long time. All their quarterbacks are these dink and dunk, conservative, and I think that's what Lovey wanted. But I think Barry Lunny and Brett Bielema, they want to get to playmakers. They want to take some shots. They want to go run some deep routes and throw it deep. I don't remember Brandon Peters throwing it more than 30 yards, except for 5-6 times in his entire career. It just wasn't. I don't know if he just didn't see it or he wasn't comfortable or confident in his deep ball, but I think DeVito has that, and I think that's what this team needs. You know, I don't think he's a bad quarterback either. Looking at his stats, you know, you touched on his sophomore year. He had 19 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, more than 2,000 yards. Like that's a good season stat line.
Yeah.
And then he went into his junior year and he got season-ending injury after their 4th game of the year, Duke game. So he didn't play anymore that year. And then last year, started the first 3 games of the year. They went 2-1 with 2 blowout wins. Now, he wasn't putting up huge numbers. He threw for 388 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, but he had 21 rushes for 90 yards. They went 2-1, and he got benched in week 4, kind of surprisingly from the article I read. So I don't know what happened there, but he entered the portal after week 6. He didn't even finish the season with Syracuse in last year. So I don't know. I think it's a huge upgrade. I'm expecting it to be Tommy DeVito. I hope it's Tommy DeVito. But I mean, Sitkowski's doable. I just want to see someone that's going to take some shots.
Yeah. Sitkowski last year was about 50% in terms of completion rate, through 6 touchdowns, a couple interceptions. I mean, he's a fairly adequate Big Ten backup for a low half Big Ten team, but they need something better than that. And I think Tommy DeVito is something that's better than that. All right, let's move on from the quarterbacks. Craig already kind of touched on the running back situation. We know Chase Brown's back. He had over 1,000 yards last year on the ground, and he'll do it again. Josh McCray's there as well. He had about 500 yards last year. Most of those were in like 2 games. I think the Penn State game and the Purdue game were like 300 of his yards. But he'll be back. He'll carry a good chunk of the load too. Reggie Love is also there, so we won't worry about the running back. On offense, that's probably their best position on offense is the running back room. Receivers, a little bit more of a question mark. Isaiah Williams certainly is certainly going to be in the picture. He's the leading receiver from last year at over 500 yards in the air. That was his first full season as a receiver after converting from quarterback. So he had 4 touchdowns last year too. After that, I don't know. Casey Washington, I know is still there. He had some catches last year, but there's not a lot. They had a lot of guys that caught passes last year, but we'll just kind of have to see what the quarterback situation is like and if that's going to lead to some more success from the receivers.
Yeah, I think 2 names there, Isaiah Williams, Casey Washington, I think are locked starters. Other names, Pat Bryant kind of came on last year. I think it was Scott Ritchie that always joked about, you know, if Pat Bryant's in the game, Illinois is running the ball because he's a good blocker, a big body blocker. But I think he started making some catches eventually. Brian Hightower kind of had a lost season last year, a transfer. I think, was he the one from Miami? I think he was the transfer from maybe Miami. There's some buzz about him. Maybe improving what was lacking last year and getting some playing time. I'm trying to think, is there someone else I'm forgetting? They brought in a transfer from somewhere. Is it James Madison, maybe? Jonah Morris? is his name. He's a big guy, I think. But I think it's going to be a bulk of Washington, Williams, Bryant, and Hightower. I think those are going to be the 4 key wide receiver pass catchers. We can lump the tight ends here as well, but we know what we're getting with them. Luke Ford, Tip Ryman. And then today, Brett Bielema had really good things to say about Michael Marquez, who is back for his 6th year. And he said all 3 of them bring something different to the table. He also mentioned Henry Boyer, true freshman, might get some time. And Griffin Moore, who's like a sophomore or junior from Bloomington, might get some time at tight end. So seems like tight end's not lacking any depth. So between those 9 names out on the outside, a couple of them could have some big years. And it's up to Barry Lunny to get the ball in their hands. We always talked about last year, you got to get the ball to Isaiah Moore. So hopefully the offensive coordinator change fixes that, and Isaiah has a huge year.
Yeah, that's something I meant to mention at the top of the show. That's the biggest change on the offensive side is the coordinator. Tony Peterson's out. Barry Lunny's in. What does that mean? Time will tell. My question, can we finally make Luke Ford a thing? Like, I just feel like this guy he's been somebody that I have known about and I've expected big things for what feels like a decade now. I remember when Luke Ford was in the whole recruiting process and going to Georgia. It feels like a decade ago, because I was working with somebody who's a big Georgia fan and he was talking to me about this kid. I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like I keep waiting for him to break out, and now he's, a WWE athlete and all these things. I just want him to become a thing. Like, I just want that for that kid. He's a Southern Illinois boy.
I mean, yeah,
like
I do too.
I want big things for him. I just want it to happen. Will that happen?
First play of the season, 2021.
Yes.
Brandon Peters pass complete to Luke Ford for 19 yards to the Illini 41 for a first down.
Yes.
Also, I believe in the first quarter, he caught a touchdown in the game. I don't know where it's at, but he went for 3 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown in the first game last year. And he ended the season with like 10 catches. No, that might not be right.
15 catches for 114 yards.
Yeah.
3
of the catches and 30 yards were in the first game, and his touchdown was in the first game. And he finished the year with 15 yards. Yeah. Needs to happen.
I just want that.
I mean, the pros still love him.
I'm sure
he will probably get drafted next year. That's one thing I didn't look up is how Barry Lunny utilizes the tight end. But Luke Ford needs to happen. He was a top 100 recruit, transfer from Georgia. He's got all the talent in the world. He looks like a tight end. It's got to happen.
Just been waiting. I feel like I've been waiting on this for so long. All right, offensive line. We know the tackles are set. There's a lot of experience on the ends. Yeah. I don't know what the interior is going to look like. It's going to be.
That's the question mark, I think, of this team, because the other 3 are question marks. You got Palcho and Julian Pearl. Palcho is going to set some records this year. He already has the most snaps played, according to Pro Football Focus. And I think he's going to break the starts or games played NCAA record if he plays in all the games this year. So, you got talent and experience there. Julian Pearl has been a year of experience and is gaining more and more confidence and getting more and more talented. It's the interior line that you don't know what you're going to get. Alex Pihlstrom, and then 2 JUCO transfers in Zy Chrysler and Isaiah Adams. So who knows? That's the big thing. And if they struggle, Chase Brown's going to struggle. So I think, I don't want to say the success of this team depends on the offensive line, but it's going to dictate a lot of what this team does, is how this offensive line gels and if they are able to block anybody. That's what it's going to come down to.
Would you say that is the biggest position of concern on this roster? I mean, I know that's saying a lot. Quarterback is certainly
linebacker, I think.
Yeah.
I think that and linebacker, because I think what you're getting at quarterback. You've seen enough of Tommy DeVito. You've seen enough of Art Sikowski. You know what you're getting. It's just to see if they can take the next step. we don't know what we're getting with these offensive interior linemen.
Yeah.
And I think a couple linebackers are a little inexperienced.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, let's move over to the defensive side. We already kind of mentioned the D line, Keith Randolph, Johnny Newton. They're both there, both all Big Ten level potential there. Not a lot to be concerned about. Linebacker, you mentioned Seth Coleman as a name at least. After that, who knows? I mean, I don't know that I think there's a lot of questions there, as you just talked about. I know there's a couple transfers in there that might probably provide you something. But yeah, that's as you talked about, that's probably the position on the defensive side that's probably the biggest concern. Because it's not really the line, and it's not the secondary. The secondary there's a lot of talent in the secondary.
Yes.
So it's that linebacker position that might be an issue.
Yeah, you got Seth Coleman, of course. Owen Carney and Isaiah Gay had outstanding years last year.
Right.
So I don't think anyone's going to be able to duplicate the years that those two had, but Seth Coleman was very impressive. Ezekiel Holmes, I think, could have a big year. I think he was just named a captain.
Could be.
I'm pretty sure he was just named a captain. And is it Tariq Barnes is back as well? So there are some names back as well as Calvin Avery. Or Calvin Hart, Calvin Avery's defensive lineman that also needs to take a big step this year. I have a lot of trust in Ryan Walters to make the defense. What word am I looking for?
Good.
Yeah, it's not that word, but that works.
Efficient?
Acceptable? No. Efficient is good. Efficient's a good word. I think
Passable?
Ryan Walters is yeah. He knows what he's doing. He knows where to put the guys and put them in position to have success. So I don't have a lot of concerns. It's just we'll see how good these guys really are, because there are some holes to fill. But I don't think they're going to be as good as last year, but I think they'll be acceptable and passable as a defense.
Yeah. Cornerback, Devin Witherspoon's there. On the other side, that I don't know what'll happen there. I think when you have a top tier guy, I mean, I think teams will go the other way. So that could open up a weakness. But we know what you're getting with him. There's a couple guys there that can fight for that spot and maybe contribute, but they'll definitely need somebody to step up there and be a solid number 2, or else that could be a weakness all day long. But you at least do have a set of safeties that are pretty darn good. So there's Carlos fails. You got that.
Yeah, the secondary isn't much of a concern. You got a lot of guys, you got a lot of depth, but it's pretty unproven other than Sidney Brown and Devin Witherspoon. So we'll see what we're getting there, but I'm not as concerned about defensive back as I am linebacker and to an extent some defensive line.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Special teams, finally, Caleb Griffin time.
Is this
Caleb Griffin time? We've been talking about this kid again also for years, especially on this show. Caleb Griffin, I feel like, is talked about every other week. And now we're actually going to finally get to see him play, I think. So after all these years, he's going to be getting to show off what he's got with that leg.
All the reports say he started off slow, but has pretty much won the job. So yeah, it's good for him. Good for him. Remember when he tried it out as a receiver?
Yeah.
And he returned punts.
I remember. Kid's an athlete, dude. He can do it all.
Yes.
All right. Any other positions that you want to talk about? I think we covered everything, right? Is there anything?
Covered all the positions, yeah.
Okay. Keys to success. What does this team got to do? What's the difference between a 4-win season and a 6-win season for this team?
Barry Lunny.
So you're saying it's all the offense.
Tony Peterson, thank God, is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like week 4 and we were calling for his job last year. He was atrocious. So Barry Lunny comes in, who we have firsthand experience of. Barry Lunny from last year just torched Illinois as the UTSA offensive coordinator. They went 12-2. That's what I did a lot of research on today was him and how his players performed. So Frank Harris was his quarterback, 3,177 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 66% completion percentage, to go along with 566 rushing yards on more than 100 carries and 6 touchdowns. So 33 touchdowns total for his quarterback. I don't know the last time an Illinois quarterback combined or scored more than 20 touchdowns in a season. His running back was Sincere McCormick, who almost touched 1,500 yards. He was 21 yards shy of that, almost 300 carries, 15 touchdowns. And here's the kicker, not the position, the kicker, the story kicker. 3 wide receivers with more than 750 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. Illinois had no receiver with 700 yards. Their leader was Isaiah with like 500, and he definitely did not catch 6 passes. The last time Illinois had a player with more than 750 yards and 6 touchdown catches in a season was 2014, Mikey Dudek. He had more than 1,000 yards receiving and 6 touchdown catches.
I was going to go even further back. I thought you were going to say something like Aurelius Ben or something.
Oh, yeah.
Because
no, Mikey had his freshman year, 2014, had just over 1,000 yards, and he had exactly 6 touchdown catches.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, this tells you he spreads the ball out. I think he gets it out quick. He talked today. They had their weekly game week presser with the coordinators and Bielema, and someone asked him about his fast tempo, and he's like, it's not necessarily fast tempo. It's just like, we're trying to keep the defense off balance. You know, like, we're not always going to know huddle. Like, it's just whatever the game calls for and whatever play call we think is right. So,
yeah.
I mean, anything's going to be better than Tony Peterson, but I think DeVito and Barry Lunny might be a pretty good fit. So it comes down to, like I just said, the offensive line blocking for either DeVito or the running back, and the receivers getting open and making the plays. Now, do I see Illinois producing those numbers I just read? No. But that's more like what we need to see this year for them to have success. I think if the offense takes a step forward and is, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the same word. It's like acceptable, but it's not acceptable.
Oh, I know exactly what word you're looking for. I can't think of it either.
We're gonna think of it like 5 minutes after we record. I'm gonna text you.
I know.
Like, that was it. But okay, that's where we're at. We're
competent.
Competent. That's it. That's the word.
Hey!
If the offense is competent, this team could make a bowl game. But if they're not, and the defense takes a step back, it could be a 3 or 4 win season. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, let's I know on our rundown we have to talk about week 0 next, but let's get to that in a minute. Let's talk about
I've got one other thing.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
And it's kind of me breaking news here on our show that we don't do often. I don't know of anyone that's more interested in this topic than me. None of my friends care. I don't think anybody cares about this topic that I know more than me. Do you have any guesses?
Something to do with the jerseys, the
uniforms.
What uniforms they're wearing on Saturday?
Yes.
What you're gonna break?
Uniforms are my number. I love uniforms. I love designing uniforms. I should have went into design just so I could design uniforms. So the breaking news: Illinois, I've been told, is not getting new uniforms this year.
Really?
All of the talk in the offseason was a rebrand. Not a rebrand, but new uniforms. Bielema talked about new uniforms this year. They got the new helmets last year. I've been told that they will not have new uniforms, that they are being delayed to next season. That's the expectation. Now, if they do come in mid-season, I'm assuming, I didn't dig on it. I don't know. I'm assuming that that's what it was. Because I replied, I was like, dude, what the heck? And I just got back. I'm not going to say what I got back, but I've been told, have been delayed to next season. So no new uniforms for Illinois this year, as far as what I was told. Like I said, if they come in mid-season, maybe they'll make a switch. But as of now, the expectation is no new uniforms for Illinois football this season.
Wow. We are officially a news-breaking podcast.
Right?
We'll have to find a breaking news sound effect to throw into this. That's great.
That's the biggest news of the year, too.
Unhappy for you. I'm sad for you because I know how much you love that stuff, but I'm also happy for you because
man.
you're breaking news. So that's great. All right. Before we talk about Wyoming and week 0, let's kind of look ahead to the rest of the season, kind of give our thoughts on their schedule, and do a little, do you want to do a little season predicting, schedule predicting, record predicting type of thing? You want to do that?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So let's just go over the schedule here real quick. Obviously, they open up Saturday against Wyoming. We'll talk about that here shortly. And then they go at Indiana, and then they host Virginia, and then they host Chattanooga. Those are your first 4 games. How many wins are there in those first 4? Can they get 4 wins?
100% they can.
Yeah? You think they will?
Will they? Virginia's throwing me. I think they... I want to say 4-0. I really do. But I think one of Virginia or Indiana might get them.
Yeah. It's Indiana out on the road and Virginia at home. I mean, after you get past those first 4 games, it's going to be pretty tough. So I don't know that there's a lot of wins on the schedule come whatever that is, week 4 or 5 at Wisconsin. If you're going to get your wins, you got to stack them up in those first 4 weeks. So we'll see. I agree. I think they could get 4 there. I think
I'm going to say I say they get 4. I say they get 4.
All right. So after those first 4, then they go to Wisconsin, then they host Iowa and Minnesota, and then they go to Nebraska. In those 4 games.
0-4.
0-4? Don't think they got any wins there in those 4?
Nope.
At Nebraska, you don't think is a win?
Nope. I think Nebraska gets them at Nebraska. If it was at home, I might go Illinois.
Okay, so you go 4-0 and then 0-4. So they are now 4-4 on the schedule in your eyes.
Yep.
Okay, and then they close it with home against Michigan State, home against Purdue, at Michigan, and at Northwestern. The 4-4 Illini after week 8 or whatever. How do they go from there? 1-3. So this is a 5-win team, according to you, Craig.
First 4 games of the year and the last game of the year. Start 4-0, finish 5-7.
That sounds about right. I'm with you there. I think you have to look at. I think I kind of broke it down. I think there are 5 games that are certainly winnable. Probably 6 games that are certainly winnable. Couple more that you might be able to sneak away with, and then the rest I'm going no.
What's the ceiling?
6.
You think 6 is their ceiling?
What do you think it is? 7?
8.
8 wins is their ceiling? Are you kidding me?
I think they can win the first 4. I think they can beat Nebraska. I think they can beat Michigan State. Michigan State. And I think they can beat Northwestern and Purdue as well. They can. I think the ceiling is 8-4.
I'll give them 7. I will say the ceiling is 7. I understand where you're coming from. I get it. Both Michigan State and Purdue are home games. So you have to think you can beat decent teams at home if you're good enough. So I can see that. I will say 7 is the ceiling, but I can certainly understand your 8. I think they probably finish more like 5-7 or 6-6.
Yeah,
I think
they finish 5-7.
6-6, I think would be a good year. That would be a win.
What's the floor? 3-9.
You know that Indiana season last year? No, I don't think they're that bad. I mean, I think 3 wins is probably reasonable for a floor. I would like to say it's like 4 wins, but I don't know, man. There's a lot of talent there, but there's still some questions. So I'm going to be safe. I'm saying they're 6-6. I think 5-7 is probably more realistic, but I'll give them a win somewhere and say that they'll finish 6-6.
You're saying a bowl game.
Could be an upgrade. Yeah, I think there's enough there.
Okay.
Will it happen? I don't
like
know.
it.
But I mean, 6 wins would be a positive, a step in positive direction. So
hell yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
This season for me is much like last year. Just be competitive. just be competitive, stay in the games. That was the thing with Levy. He would lose games by 35 points, 40 points. Yeah. Really didn't see that last year. If you look at their schedule last year, there was only about 2 of the 12 that they were never in. Every other game, they had a chance. Am I right? Or am I forgetting something? Yeah. Let me go back here. Virginia, they got blown out. And I think, what was the Big Ten game they got blown out? Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Virginia and Wisconsin. Virginia, they lost 42-14. Wisconsin, they lost 24-0. Every other loss, UTSA was by 7, Maryland was by 3, Purdue was by 4, Rutgers was by 6, Iowa was by 10. All the games, 10 of their 12 games they were in. That's the thing with Bielema. His teams aren't gonna get blown out. So they have opportunities. I just don't know that they're as good as last year. Even though they got some upgrades at some positions, I just don't. This isn't my team, I don't think.
All right. Well, you can't go 12-0 unless you win week 0. So before they get to do anything, they got to get by Wyoming. That is the game on the docket this Saturday. It's one of very few games, major games.
How many
call
are
it a
there?
major
6?
game?
7?
Not many. On the docket for week 0. So Illinois 2 weeks in a row, or 2 seasons in a row, has a week 0 matchup. They're probably going to keep taking advantage of that because it just means more eyeballs on their product. So good for them. Wyoming comes to town. They were 7-6 last season. They finished 2-6 in the Mountain West. They were a NCAA men's basketball tournament bubble team. They did get by. I remember looking at that name a lot when I was going through all that stuff. But that has absolutely nothing to do with how they are on the football field. So, Craig, talk about it. What do we got this Saturday? What do we need to know? Hit me with all the details.
Are you basically telling me to read the bullet points that I wrote in the rundown?
No, I just want you to talk about it. Talk about the game. What do you know in your research about Wyoming?
They lost a lot. Which is one of the bullet points.
That's good.
They are 129th out of 131 in production returning. They lost 65% of their production from last year. That's not
production.
Good. No, that's not good. Yeah. Which it's according to ESPN's SP Plus is the 9th lowest returning production recorded to date. Which I think it only goes back maybe 7 or 8 years, but their quarterback transferred, their leading rusher transferred, their leading receiver transferred. So yeah, it's might not be very good. Do you know who their head coach is?
No.
Craig Bull. You know that name?
Oh yeah.
Won like 25 national championships at North Dakota State.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. He's their head coach. So he's got to replace a lot. They do have their other running back. He ran for 700 yards back, Titus Sween, so we might see a lot of him. Ryan Walters said today that the run game establishes a lot of what they do, so they want to establish the run early and play off of that. So we'll see. I don't know a lot about who they have. I know a lot about who left. So I don't know if they got transfers in or if they're leaning on freshmen or people who were backups last year. I'm not sure. The line is Illinois -10 over under 44 at the moment.
Okay.
Which side do you take on those?
I will take Illinois and the under.
Yep, that's where my money would go.
Really?
Yep.
We agree on something.
Never.
We should just change the name of our show to We Agree on Everything.
Yeah,
okay, that is Saturday. That game kicks off at, I believe, 4:00 Big Ten Network, I think.
Eastern time, yeah.
Big Ten Network. Yes, Eastern time. Craig and I are Eastern time. Probably most of you listening are not Eastern time. So 3:00 for those of you in the Central Big Ten Network on Saturday. There is one other, we'll talk about this here real quick. There is one other Big Ten game being played on Saturday, Northwestern and Nebraska, the matchup of the decade in the Big Ten being played in Dublin, the old Irish gridiron. We'll talk about that though in a second when we make our picks. Last year, on this show, we gave our Big Ten power rankings on a weekly basis. We're going to continue to do that this year. We're not going to take as much time to do it this year as we probably did in the past. But we do want to do that this year, so we figure we should probably start with the preseason rankings. So, Craig, give me your 14 through 11 in the Big Ten as we start.
Was not prepared for this.
You were not prepared for this.
Starting from the bottom.
This was in the memo.
Now we're here.
Yes, starting from the bottom.
From
14
the bottom. Okay.
through
14.
11. What do you got?
Northwestern.
Okay.
13 Indiana.
Okay.
12 Rutgers.
Okay.
11 Illinois.
Interesting. Okay. I went the same 14, 13, 12. I went Nebraska 11. I know we were coming from
between,
but I will go with Nebraska at 11. So I have Northwestern, Indiana, Rutgers, Nebraska 14 through 11. Craig, how about 10 through 7? Give me the next one.
Going too fast.
What do you want from me?
Illinois. No, Northwest or Nebraska. Nebraska 10.
Okay.
Maryland 9.
Okay.
Michigan State 8.
Okay.
How far did you tell me to go?
To 7.
And Penn State 7.
Okay.
These are thrown together top ahead for the listeners and for you, Logan.
I'm glad one of us did our planning for the week. Jesus.
That's a first.
It is. I went Maryland 10, Illinois 9, Purdue 8, and Michigan State 7. That's how I did it. All right. Give me 6 through 3. So you don't even know what you're doing here. I'm gonna have to put this together. And you don't even know what you're listing off. I'm not doing that.
6 through 3. 6 through 3. Purdue. No. Minnesota 6. Purdue 5. Wisconsin 3.
You missed 4.
4.
Amazing content. Did
Wisconsin
you not
4,
think we were going to do
Wisconsin 4, Iowa 3.
Okay, whatever. I went Penn State 6, Wisconsin 5, Minnesota 4, Iowa 3, and then I assume we both have Michigan 2 and Ohio State.
Ohio State 1.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Whatever.
I will be prepared next week.
We'll put that in. Craig might put that into a graphic. He might not. Who knows?
No, I have it. I'm looking at it right here. It's just from last year's rankings. Like I remade the graphic that we did last year with some different features, but it's my rankings from last year. So I'm just trying to like mix and match.
Whatever. Are you going to know what ones we just did, or do I need to jot all those down?
It's recorded on the show.
Whatever. We'll talk about it later. All right. Those are our power rankings brought to you by viewers like you. All right. Pick your pick. That's what we're going to call it this year. We're going to do our picks a little different. We're going to do it draft style. Every week, we're going to have 14 games to choose from. We will each pick 7 games each week. And then we will give you our winners from those 7 games that we each pick. However, this week, there's only really 2 games that we're going to do. So we're just going to start with 2. So how this is going to work is, Craig, because you are not hosting the show this week, you will pick first. You can either choose Illinois or Wyoming or Nebraska or Northwestern. Basically, who you have the most confidence in that they're going to win their football game. So who are you picking? Illinois or Wyoming or Nebraska or Northwestern? I only want one school from you.
I thought this was going to be easy, but now I'm thinking about it, and the lines suggest I should go one way, but that's not the way I was going to go.
Okay. That's interesting.
I'm pretty sure Nebraska is a bigger favorite over Northwestern than Illinois is over Wyoming. But I don't think I trust Nebraska. So I'm going to take Illinois as my pick over Wyoming.
So Craig will use his pick, and he will take the Illini over Wyoming. That's understandable. So I now will pick one winner from the Northwestern and Nebraska game in Dublin. I'm going to take Nebraska. So that's how we will start this year. On a normal basis, we'll have much more of these games to pick. But that's all we're going to do this week. Craig took Illinois. I'm taking Nebraska. and we're going to move on to other things. All right, last Big Ten note, Big Ten football-ish related note, something that we talked about last week, but it is now official. The Big Ten media rights stuff has officially commenced. That was announced towards the end of last week, that Fox, CBS, NBC, FS1, Big Ten Network, and Peacock will be the home of Big Ten athletics for the next 7, I believe, years through the 2029-2030 season. It's roughly coming out to about $1.2 billion annually that the conference is going to receive. That's a lot. That's
$1 billion.
B, not even million. It's a B, billion with the B. The schedule on a typical football Saturday will look like a game at noon on Fox. This is Eastern time. CBS will have a 3:30 Big Ten game that starts in 2024. The rest of these will start in 2023, and then NBC is going to have a primetime game every Saturday as well. This is all stuff we kind of knew was happening, but as I said, it just now became official at the end of last week. FS1 and Big Ten will get the lion's share of the remaining games. Peacock also will get about 8 games throughout the course of the season that will be exclusively on streaming. Why are you laughing about this?
Because that's your favorite part of the whole deal.
I don't care about the football part of this. I don't care about that.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a second. The football stuff doesn't bother me.
Okay.
We'll get into what bothers me in a minute. So yes, Fox, CBS, NBC's will rotate the Big Ten football championship will be on one of those 3 networks. I think Fox has it 4 times, CBS has it twice, NBC will have it once. Basketball, Big Ten Network and FS1 will be the primary home for Big Ten men's and women's basketball games throughout the course of the season. Fox and CBS will also continue to carry some of those. But then, yes, this is the issue that Craig was alluding to. Peacock is going to end up getting a good chunk of basketball games throughout the course of the season, which it bothers me for a few reasons. It bothers me because I just know that there are people out there that won't be able to watch. And I know my dad's listening to the show and he's probably not thrilled about it either, but there will be Illinois basketball games that air on Peacock that he will not be able to watch because they don't have internet capabilities where they live. So like that frustrates me to know like there's still a segment of the population that won't be able to watch these games.
It's baffles me that they can't get good internet out there.
You live out in the
country. 2022.
You live out in the country sometimes,
and I'm not blaming your parents.
No,
I'm blaming like infrastructure.
Yeah, that's just how it is. It might change by then. They might have an option, but like, yeah, it's 2022 and it's just not a thing. So
crazy.
That's part of the reason why this bothers me so much is I think about people like that who just won't be able to watch these games. There's a lot of games that are going to go to Peacock because there's like basically all the games that were on ESPN have to go somewhere. And ESPN carried, I think I did the math, it's like 30-ish men's basketball games, Big Ten conference games last year were on an ESPN or an ESPN2. Those games got to go somewhere. FS1, I don't know that they have the inventory. They're already carrying the Big East. And the Big Ten Network's already carrying, I mean, it has to be the place for wrestling and women's basketball and all these other things too. So a lot of these games are going to end up on Peacock, which for me, as somebody that has access to internet, like most people, it's not that big of a deal. But there are people out there that don't have that ability. So there will probably be one weekend that I'm at home visiting my parents and I won't be able to watch the Illinois game because it's going to be on.
Go to the game.
Well, that's whatever. That's the thing.
I'm pretty sure I saw someone on Twitter say that Peacock is included in a Comcast Xfinity cable package.
It is, and that's how I have it. Okay. I have Peacock. Now,
so if you have Comcast Xfinity, for anyone listening, you have Peacock. You can get a Peacock subscription for free.
There are like 3 different tiers of it, though. That's true. I don't know what tier this will be on because the first tier is the cheapest tier, and that's what Comcast people get for free. But then there's like 1 or 2 other tiers, and like I don't know,
premium.
I don't know what this will be. I don't pay for Peacock, but I do have the free thing through Xfinity. So
yeah, I have premium because of Premier League. I'm assuming it might be the same thing, so you might have to pay for something else.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing. We kind of knew the football stuff, and this really doesn't affect football all that much. The biggest thing is that the CBS music will be now in front of Big Ten games, which I know a lot of SEC fans are fired up about. But
it's not. Big Ten isn't fully ingrained in CBS till 2024 because the things overlap.
Yes.
CBS's deal with SEC will not be done by the time this one takes effect.
Correct. All of this stuff I talked about starts officially next school year, except, as you said, the SEC football contract, there is going to be one overlapping year. So while CBS will get some football games in the 2023-2024 year, they won't have that 3:30 slot. They'll just get various time blocks throughout the course of the season that they'll get those games. So the other last thing that I didn't mention is that CBS will keep the men's basketball Big Ten semifinals and finals on their network, but they also get the women's basketball championship, which is pretty cool. So that's awesome. All right, a few more things before we shut down for the evening. One name that we haven't really talked about much on this show, but his name has kind of been circling around Illinois basketball circles and recruiting circles, is Amani Hansberry, the 2023 class of power forward out of Washington, D.C. He's taken a visit to Illinois. Illinois has been on his short list, like Penn State, Miami, I know, has been in the mix. He is expected to make a decision next week. So this would be potentially a nice addition for that recruiting class for what would be next season. He has received a few crystal ball selections towards Illinois in favor of Illinois. We'll have to see if that holds to be true. It seems like there's some optimism there. He's made a jump. I know I saw 24/7 Sports was mentioned it, that their latest rankings, he made a huge jump, like 70 some spots. He's now up into
75.
Now he's up into like the 50s. He was in like 150 something.
He was 127 yesterday, and he's 52 today. Their new rankings came out today.
Quite a jump. He's had a good summer, and Illinois seems to be a favorite here to land him. So he's expected to make his decision next week. Who else is in this class already? Is this
there is no one in the 2023 class.
We already know 2024, correct?
Yes.
We've already have a couple recruits. That's like
ZZ Clark and Morris Johnson.
Yep. Okay, you're right. Yep. So this class, they're shooting for him. It doesn't have anybody in. So he's a 6'8" power forward from Washington, D.C., as I mentioned. He'd be a nice addition. This is the new landscape of college basketball. You know what your roster looks like, and you know who has eligibility, but you really have no idea who's going to be on this roster come 2023. So it's just nice to have pieces. So he would be a nice get if they can get that. Hopefully, probably by the time we record this next week, we probably still won't know the answer, but at least I thought it was.
I think I saw September 2nd.
That's the date I've seen too, which I believe is next Thursday. It's
Friday.
Friday. That makes sense. I at least wanted to mention him just because I don't think we've talked about him much on the show, but that would be a nice get for the Illini and for Brad Underwood if they can land him.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. NFL. I saw you put this on the rundown. I already mentioned the one Tom Brady news of the week, but there was some other news circulating about Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski possibly at one point going to play for the Raiders.
Yeah. Did you see the clip?
I saw, you're talking about the Dana White thing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I did see it was tweeted out there. So what did he say exactly?
Apparently ESPN or someone did like a Manning cast with the Gronks for the UFC fights on Saturday.
Okay, yes, I did see that.
And they had Dana White on during the fights, which is,
odd.
Okay, he's like the owner of UFC and he's just not at his event, I guess, or in the locker room, whatever. And apparently Dana White said that he had the deal done and he helped broker the deal to get Brady and Gronk to come to Vegas or to go to Vegas and play for the Raiders instead of go to Tampa. And then at the last minute or before they could sign anything, Gruden backed out of it. John Gruden said he didn't want him and backed out. And so they ended up going to Tampa. But what I had forgotten, and I read in an article or a tweet or something, Do you remember when Brady went on like LeBron's talk show or whatever he does, like the barbershop thing or whatever?
Yeah.
And he said he had 3 or 4 teams interested, and one team just out of nowhere said, "No, we're sticking with our guy." And Brady said I thought to myself, "You're sticking with that MFer?" Well, they were like, "Well, we know who that MFer is now. It's Derek Carr." You're sticking with Derek Carr instead of me? So we know the answer to that. I had forgotten that happened until that was pointed out to me. But would it have turned out the same? I guess that's my question. I mean, he ended up winning the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers. Do the Raiders win a Super Bowl if they have Brady and Gronk? I don't think so, right?
I mean, I don't know why not. It wouldn't just be the two of them. They would bring somebody else. I mean, that's what
the
happened when he
Buccaneers
went to Tampa. Other players followed. I mean,
the Buccaneers already had Mike Evans.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And their defense, they had Devin White already. The Raiders, they didn't have Devontae Adams at the time. They had like no receivers. They had Darren Waller already, so you would have Waller and Gronk. I mean, Leonard Fournette doesn't go there probably because you got Josh Jacobs.
I understand, and it's possible that that's a no. I think they would have done whatever they can to make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how it would have unfolded. It would have been interesting. Tom Brady.
I kind of like the Raiders since they moved to Vegas. I kind of like them. They got a different feel to them. The stadium's awesome. I drove by it when I was in Vegas. It wasn't quite done yet. It would have been January 2020. I don't think it was done yet, but it looked sweet. I think the games are a lot like they're entertainment now because they're in Vegas and they do all the cool stuff and all that.
Yeah,
I'm kind of high on the Raiders, especially now that they got rid of Gruden.
Is that your new team?
No.
Oh,
I mean,
are you getting a Raiders jersey?
No.
Okay, whatever.
I don't like their jerseys.
I
don't think I would ever purchase a Raiders jersey.
Whatever.
Never thought I'd purchase a Bengals jersey either, but I did.
Here we are,
and they made it to the Super Bowl.
You're the lucky charm. Every team should be calling for you. All right, MLB.
Both of our teams are hot.
Cubs are hot. Pujols is hitting homers right and left. What's happening?
They play each other for 5 games.
Yeah.
Starting tonight.
The Cubs are hot, man. Good luck. Good luck to you. I'm
not worried.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either. No, the Cubs are playing well. It's been kind of nice to see. I think it's you could just tell that a weight was lifted off of the shoulders of Wilson Contreras and probably to a lesser extent Ian Happ when they weren't traded, because you can just feel like you just realize and know that they're just playing better. But they're clicking. I mean, they got guys that are playing well. Nick Madrigal's bat's finally starting to come around a little bit. Nico Horner's been showing that he can be a shortstop. All the talk in Cubs world right now is, what do you do in the off season? Go spin big on a shortstop. What do you do to Nico? Does that mean you move Madrigal? Does somebody play third? I don't think it's necessarily, here's my opinion on this. I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't think it's a matter of the Cubs need a shortstop. I think it's a matter of most of the best players available this offseason are going to be shortstops. So if you want to add an impact bat this offseason through the free agent market and through not having to trade away other assets, it's probably going to need to be a shortstop, whether that is Xander Bogart, Carlos Correa, Trey Turner, Dansby Swanson, whoever it is. That's where the impact bats are. So if you add a shortstop, either you move Nico somewhere or you trade Madrigal, or the shortstop you sign maybe plays short or second or third, something.
Third, yeah.
That's what makes the most sense. So I know there are Cubs fans are like, I've seen it in the Twitter comments, like, Nico's playing well. Why do you want to sign another shortstop? Like, sign somewhere else. Like, well, there's nobody else to sign. Like, that's where the players are going to be, as the shortstop position. So that's kind of where we are at in Cubs world. Also, Kyle Hendricks has been shut down for the rest of the season. That kind of sucks, but he's not been good for like 3 years. So, Cubs cards coming up. Cardinals are playing well. Pujols is playing well. I mean, they're certainly looking like a playoff team. Whether or not they can go very far in the playoffs is certainly up for debate. But
guess who the Major League Baseball player of the week was or is?
Albert Pujols.
And
there's 2 of them. Oh, the AL player of the. Oh
no, no.
There was
Major League NL. Yeah.
They named
They
two
named
of them.
Co. Yeah, they
I
named
don't know.
Co.
Who was the other one?
Albert and Paul Goldschmidt sharing it.
Great. That's wonderful.
So the question at this point, I posed the question a week ago, Tuesday maybe. Does Albert catch A-Rod? The question now is, does Albert get to 700?
I think that's certainly back on the table. Where's he at now?
He's 692, I think. Maybe 93.
Oh. Yeah.
He's got 42 games left. He's rarely hitting against righties.
Yeah.
They're basically only batting him when a lefty starts or there's a lefty that came in and he pinch hits.
Yeah.
But I think he hit 4 home runs this week.
I mean, it'd be
5 home runs, maybe.
It'd be something to see.
Goldschmidt hit 5 for sure. Do you think he gets there?
I think it's certainly possible. He's not playing a lot, but yeah, he's been hot of late. So if he can keep doing that, I think he's gonna have a good shot at it.
Pujols hit 615 this week with 3 home runs, a 1.974 OPS. Goldie hit 542 with 11 RBIs and 1.613 OPS. Unbelievable. Unreal.
Can you imagine if he gets to like 699?
Does he come back for like one series next year?
It wouldn't shock me just to get to 700. Doesn't matter. He's a Hall of Famer regardless. So, all right.
He's first ballot, right? We can argue about Yachty, but
yes.
Pujols is first ballot, right?
Yes. 100%.
Yachty's first ballot, right?
I'm not having that discussion with you right now. One other sports thing. Where does Kevin Durant end up?
I don't care.
Pick a team.
I just don't care.
I feel like it's just a bunch of drama queens, to be honest. Like drama is too much for me. All right, moving on. I have not watched the Manti Te'o thing. I know everybody is talking about this. I know I need to watch it. Have you watched it?
So I put this on the rundown and turned it on. And then as soon as I turned it on, I saw that Whitman was at the podium for their weekly thing. So I watched that for an hour and then I had a meeting for work.
Okay.
So no, I've watched like 15 minutes of it. I have not started it yet.
Well, let's make a pact to both watch it this week, and then we will come back to it next week, because I do think it's something we want to talk about, and I know that a lot of people have been talking about it. I just haven't watched it myself, and obviously you haven't either. Big Brother, are you caught up? Yes. Did you watch last night's episode?
I did.
What do you think about this whole splitting up the house thing now that we've finally seen it?
I hated it initially, but I kind of don't mind it. Because I am anti, and I know this is how the game works. I am anti one big alliance of 7 getting to the final 7 and then duking it out. Yeah. So I like the aspect of splitting the house and maybe forcing their hand and forcing one of them to go home, maybe 2 of them to go home, and then going back to normal play and just kind of a reset. So as of now, I'm all for it. We'll see who goes home, because there are certain people I don't want to go home and I don't think should go home. But yeah, we'll see. I'm kind of liking it right now.
And where do you stand on Kyle's decision? The move that Kyle made. You like it? Do you think do you think it was a good move, bad move?
That's the line that's drawn in the sand right there.
Right, it is.
If it doesn't go his way, he's the first of the leftovers to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think he knew that, so that's why he did it.
No, I agree. I think
my prediction is it works in his favor.
It could. I mean, we're to the point now where best case scenario for the leftovers, 2 non-leftovers leave the house this week, and they're pretty much all that's left. So at some point, they're going to have to go after each other anyway. So I didn't hate the decision for him to tell Terrence and tell Alyssa about the alliance. But yeah, I mean, it was certainly going to end at some point. So
I think all 3 of them survive this week, and I think they team up with Michael and Brittany, and that's the 5. Because Kyle did mention how Michael and Brittany want a way out. I think they want Monty out because he could win the game. Yeah. I think that's the way it goes.
I'm with you. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we shut this baby down?
I don't think so. I don't think I watched anything else this week of note. I'm watching the Cardinals again. I stopped watching games every night to watch other shows, and now that they're playing well, I'm watching them. So I'm not watching.
I did watch one new movie last night that it's not something
E.T.?
I watched that yesterday. I went to the theater for that one. But I watched a movie last night that is a movie that 12-year-old Logan would have absolutely loved and would have given it like 7 stars out of 5. But 31-year-old
Stars
Logan
out of 5
was just kind of like, it's okay. But it's called Secret Headquarters. It's on Paramount
Yeah.
Plus. Owen Wilson. It's a fun movie. But it's about a kid who discovers that his dad is a superhero, and they find his secret headquarters under his house and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then hijinks ensue, as they say. It was a fun little movie, but I did watch that last night. It was a movie that, as I said, I would have loved 20 years ago. But now it's just it was fine. All right. I don't think we have anything else. I think we should probably shut this thing down. We've already talked about a lot today, and I think that's going to do it for us. As always, give us a follow at No One Asked Us Pod. He's at Craig W. Choate. I'm at the Logan Lee. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Obviously, we're on Twitter. Shoot us an email if you have any questions.
Obviously.
Let us know if you want to buy merch, because if you want to buy merch, maybe we'll sell merch. Also, let us know if you want to, sponsor a segment. Even if it's just like your personal name, whatever. Maybe we'll do other things. At some point, we want to start making money on this thing. So, whatever. We'll figure that out later.
But first, like and subscribe.
That's the first step. Because if you want Logan to grow a mullet, you got to subscribe to the YouTube page.
I'm just going to create 1,000 fake emails and just subscribe so we get there.
I love it. Please
and you have to keep it all season.
Please do. All right, we're going to shut it down. For Craig, I'm Logan. We'll see you guys next week. That's it. Go Comets. At Moments. Go Comets. Go Illini. Go Panthers. Go Louisville Cardinals. No, they don't play this week. All right, we're out. Peace.